I found that nothing in life is worthwhile unless you take risks. Nothing. Nelson Mandela said, "There is no passion to be found playing small and settling for a life that's less than the one you're capable of living." I'm sure people have told you to make sure you have something to fall back on, but I never understood that concept, having something to fall back on. If I'm going to fall, I don't want to fall back on anything except my faith. I want to fall forward. I figure at least this way I'll see what I'm going to hit. This is what I mean. Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs. Thomas Edison conducted 1,000 failed experiments because the 1,001st was the light bulb. Every failed experiment is one step closer to success. You will fail at some point in your life. Accept it. You will lose. You will embarrass yourself. You will suck at something. In the acting business, you fail all the time. Early on in my career, I auditioned for a part in a Broadway musical. Perfect role for me, I thought. I didn't get the job. But here's the thing. I didn't quit. I didn't fall back. I walked out of there to prepare for the next audition, and the next audition, and the next audition. I prayed. I prayed, and I prayed. But I continued to fail, and fail, and fail. There's an old saying, you hang around the barbershop long enough, sooner or later you're going to get a haircut. So you will catch a break, and I did catch a break. Last year, I did a play called Fences on Broadway. Won the Tony Award. But here's the kicker. It was at the same theater that I failed that first audition 30 years prior. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. I'll say it again. If you don't fail, you're not even trying. My wife told me this great expression. To get something you never had, you have to do something you never did. So you got to get out there. You got to give it everything you got, whether it's your time, your talent, your prayers, or your treasures. Because remember this, you will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. I'll say it again. You will never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. So the question is, what are you going to do with what you have? All right, now here's my last point about failure. Sometimes it's the best way to figure out where you're going. Your life will never be a straight path. I began at Fordham University as a pre-med student. I took a course called cardiac morphogenesis. I still can't say it. Cardiac morphogenesis. I couldn't read it. I couldn't say it. I sure couldn't pass it. So then I decided to go into pre-law, then journalism. And with no academic focus, my grades took off in their own direction. Yeah, down. I was a 1.8 GPA one semester, and the university very politely suggested that it might be better to take some time off. I was 20 years old. I was at my lowest point. And then one day, and I remember the exact day, March 27th, 1975, I was helping my mother in her beauty shop. My mother owned a beauty shop up in Mount Vernon. And there was this older woman who was considered one of the elders in the town. And I didn't know her personally, but I was looking in the mirror, and every time I looked at the mirror, I could see her behind me, and she was staring at me. She just kept looking at me. Every time I looked at her, she kept giving me these strange looks. So she finally took the dryer off her head and she said something I'll never forget. She said, "Young boy, I have a prophecy, a spiritual prophecy." She said, "You are going to travel the world and speak to millions of people." Now, mind you, I'm 20 years old, I'm flunked out of school. But maybe she was on to something, because later that summer, while working as a counselor at the YMCA camp in Connecticut, we put on a talent show for the campers. And after the show, another counselor came up to me and asked, "Have you ever thought about acting? You're good at that." So when I got back to Fordham that fall, I got in, I changed my major once again for the last time. And in the years that followed, just as that woman prophesied, I have traveled the world and I have spoken to millions of people. Millions who, up till this day, couldn't see me. Many years ago, I did this movie called Philadelphia. Philadelphia came out in 1993. It's about a man played by Tom Hanks who's fired from his law firm because he has AIDS. He wants to sue the firm, but no one's willing to represent him until a homophobic ambulance chaser lawyer, played by yours truly, takes on the case. In a way, if you watch the movie, you'll see everything I'm talking about today. You'll see what I mean about taking risk or being willing to fail. Because taking risk is not just about going for a job. It's also about knowing what you know and what you don't know. It's about being open to people and to ideas. In the course of the film, the character I play begins to take small steps, small risks. He very, very, very slowly begins to overcome his fears. To not only take risks, but to be open to life, to accept new views, and to be open to new opinions. While it may be frightening, it will also be rewarding. Because the chances you take, the people you meet, the people you love, the faith that you have, that's what's going to define you. Never be discouraged. Never hold back. Give everything you got. And when you fall throughout life, and remember this, fall forward. Fall forward. True desire in the heart for anything good is God's proof to you, sent beforehand to indicate that it's yours already. Be whatever it is you want to be, in front of the camera, on the stage, behind the stage. That desire for good is God's proof to you, sent already to indicate that it's yours. You already have it. Claim it. Understand this. Understand this also. You have these dreams. Dreams without goals remain dreams, just dreams, and ultimately fuel disappointment. Dreams without goals. Yearly goals, life goals, daily goals, monthly goals, hourly goals, minute by minute goals. Dreams without goals are just dreams, and they ultimately fuel disappointment. Goals on the road to achievement cannot be achieved without discipline and consistency. Between goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. So it's not how much you have, it's what you do with what you have. And we all have different gifts. Some money, some love, some patience, some the ability to touch people. But we all have it. That's what counts. Use it. Share it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. So never give up. Without commitment, you'll never start. But more importantly, without consistency, you'll never finish. It's not easy. If it was easy, there'd be no Kerry Washington. If it was easy, there'd be no Taraji Henson, P. Henson. If it were easy, there'd be no Octavia Spencer. But not only that, if it were easy, there'd be no Viola Davis. If it were easy, there'd be no Michael T. Williamson, no Stephen McKinley Henderson, no Russell Hornsby. If it were easy, there'd be no Denzel Washington. So, keep working, keep striving, never give up, fall down 7 times, get up 8. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. Ease is a greater threat to progress than hardship. So, keep moving, keep growing, keep learning. See you at work.
You know, you're always affected by opinion, but the more opinions there are of you, of me, the less I look at them, because I just can't live my life based upon what other people think about me. So I can't concern myself too much with what other people think. You know, it's just not healthy. I don't think I could continue to do what I do if I was constantly worrying about what somebody thought about it. One thing I'm the most happy about in terms of my career is the fact that I got there with the grace of God, first of all, but short of that, I got there just by working hard. Not partying with the right people, not compromising myself in any way or cutting any kind of deals, just by working hard, just by plugging along, sawing wood, as I like to call it. I'm a 20-year overnight sensation.
There's a few things, about 3 things to my account that I need each day. One of them is something to look up to, another is something to look forward to, and another is someone to chase. Now, first off, I want to thank God, because that's who I look up to. He's graced my life with opportunities that I know are not of my hand or any other human hand. He has shown me that it's a scientific fact that gratitude reciprocates. In the words of the late Charlie Lawton, who said, when you got God, you got a friend. And that friend, and 2, my hero. That's who I chase. Now, when I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come to me and say, who's your hero? And I said, I don't know, I gotta think about that. Give me a couple of weeks. I come back 2 weeks later, this person comes up and says, who's your hero? I said, I thought about it. You know who it is? I said, it's me in 10 years. So I turned 25, 10 years later. That same person comes to me and goes, so are you a hero? And I was like, not even close. No. She said, why? I said, because my hero is me at 35. So you see, every day, every week, every month, and every year of my life, my hero is always 10 years away. I'm never gonna be my hero. I'm not gonna attain that. I know I'm not, and that's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing. So to any of us, whatever those things are, whatever it is we look up to, whatever it is we look forward to, and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen. To that I say, all right, all right, all right. To that I say, just keep living, huh?
I have a mission statement. So every year for probably the past 10 years, I've worked out a mission statement for myself. And for the last few years, the mission statement has stayed the same. And it's been improve lives, right? So when I go into something, I'm looking for how the quality of this piece could potentially improve lives. But it's all along the way. It's when you make the movie and how you're interacting with people in the process. And the concept of improving lives runs through the center of everything I do. And then I realized that the way to improve lives is to continually improve yourself, right? So with that, every morning when I get out of the bed, I haven't fixed everything in the world yet, so there's always something to do. And in this film, I read an interesting quote from the Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. He said that good people have to get out of the bed every day and try to empty the ocean with a ladle. Try to empty the ocean with a ladle. As the mentality of how you wake up every day to try to do good in the world. So for me, I'm really driven by continually trying to elevate my mind and elevate my spirit and care for my body, and to be able to love as many people as effectively as possible with this mystery of life that I've been given. The film, and I was really excited to take this, and I loved the idea, and I was reading it, and I gotten probably 2 weeks into my preparation for the film, and my father was diagnosed with cancer, and I was like, first it stunned me, and then it was the magical work of the universe. I could not believe that this was the film I was working on, and I was, forced to face, my father's mortality. So it was rough for about a week, and I got it together, and I decided that we would use the process of the character who was suffering a loss, and I would share my preparation with my father. And so we just started talking about love, time, and death. And it was some of the most open and powerful conversations that we'd ever had. And they gave him 6 weeks, and he lived for 4 months. So about 3 months into the 6 weeks, I go to see him one day, and he said, "Man, this shit is embarrassing." And I said, "What, Dad?" He said, "Man, you tell everybody you're gonna be dead in 6 weeks. 3 months later, you still hanging around." But it was so beautiful, and we got to a place that we were talking open and comedically and really, I think I was able to embody the ideas of the loss and also the redemptive quality of the pain. You know, the loss is bound to joy. Like pain and suffering are bound to joy. The being able to survive something is actually a big part of being able to find that next wave of joy. You appreciate smaller things, right? Like it was so magnificent for me. You know, my father died on November 7th. But it was so powerful for me to be cleansed of box office. Like, I don't need the box office to be huge on this film. I don't need to win any awards. You know, I don't care. It was the film that I worked on that I was actually able to comfortably and beautifully say goodbye to my father. And I hope that this film embodies a bit of that, so other people who are experiencing things like that will be able to use it in that way, and it can potentially be helpful and help someone else. So it was powerful to be cleansed of the foolishness of the game of numbers and awards and all of that type of stuff, to actually be able to create a piece of art that legitimately I just want people to see and hope it can be helpful and transformative in their lives. Oh no, fear is everything. Fear is everything. If there was one concept that I would suggest to people to take a daily confrontation with, is fear. The problem with fear is that it lies, right? So fear tells you, hey, you know, if you say that to that girl, she's gonna know she has you, you know, and she'll never really be attracted to you if she knows how much you attracted to her. Don't say that, no. How we get her is when she walks by, ignore her. Fear tells you dumb shit like that, right? You know, so yeah, for me, the daily confrontation with fear has become a real practice for me since about three years ago. I went skydiving in Dubai, right? And skydiving is a really interesting confront with fear, right? So what happens is you go out the night before and you know, you take a drink with your friends and somebody says, yeah, we should go skydiving tomorrow. And you go, yeah, we'll go skydiving tomorrow. Yeah, yeah. And you go, yeah. And everybody goes, yeah, right? And you go home and you by yourself, you're like, right? You're like, well, I mean, they was drunk too. Right, so maybe they not, maybe, I mean, we don't have to go. We don't have to do it. So then that night you're laying in your bed and you just keep, and you're terrified. You keep imagining over and over again jumping out of an airplane, and you can't figure out why you would do that, right? And you're laying there and you have the worst night's sleep of your life, but you still have the hope that your friends were drunk, right? So you wake up the next day and you go, you know, down and you said where you were going to meet and everybody's there. You're like, oh, shit. All right, cool, right? So you get in the van and you don't know that your friends had the same night that you had because they're pretending like they didn't. They're like, yeah, man, my uncle's a Navy SEAL and, you know, this is going to be great. I've been looking forward to this. And you're like, oh, my God. and your stomach is terrible. You can't eat and everything, but you don't want to be the only punk who doesn't jump out of this airplane. So you get there, and then you have this safety brief. And you're standing there, and the guys will tell you, well, if the chute doesn't open, what's going to happen is well, why the hell, what could happen? That the chute wouldn't open, right? So you do a thing, and what you do is your first jump, you're attached to a guy who is going, he's going to walk you out. So you go, and you get there, and there's an airplane, and nobody's stopping. Everybody's still going. So you get onto the airplane, and you're sitting there, and it's extra because you're sitting on some dude's lap, some stranger. You're sitting on his lap, and it's like, you're trying to make small talk. So you be jumping with people all the time, huh? Right? So, and then you just want to make sure, you got kids, right? You got people you need to see, right? You just want to make sure he's serious, right? So you get in there, so everything's normal. So you fly and you go up to 14,000 feet, and you notice there's a light. It's red, and it's yellow and green, right? So right now the light's red. So then you start thinking at some point the light's going to go green, but you don't know what's going to happen, right? And you wait, and it goes yellow, and the light goes green, and somebody opens the door, and in that moment you realize you've never been in a freaking airplane with the door open. So terror, 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 right? So you go, and then, if you were smart, you sat in the back so you don't go first, right? And then people start going out of the airplane. And you go, and the guy walks you up to the end of the thing, and you're standing, and your toes are on the edge, and you're looking out down to death. And they say, on 3. And they say, 1, 2. And he pushes you on 2 because people grab on 3. And you go, Arr! And you fall out of the airplane. And in 1 second, you realize that it's the most blissful experience of your life. You're flying, right? It doesn't feel like falling, right? It's like you actually are kind of held a little bit by the wind, and then you start falling, and there's zero fear. You realize that the point of maximum danger is the point of minimum fear. It's bliss. It's bliss, and you're flying, right? And you're doing that, and then 20 seconds, 25 seconds, 40 seconds, and you have enough time to just kind of be like, oh, shit, that's that building. That's not like that, man. Oh, you can see the ocean. Right? You start doing all of that, and the lesson for me was, why were you scared in your bed the night before? What do you need that fear for? Just don't go. Why are you scared in your bed 16 hours before you jump? Why are you scared in the car? Why could you not enjoy breakfast? What did you need that? The fear is fear of what? You're nowhere even near the airplane. Everything up to the stepping out, there's actually no reason to be scared. It only just ruins your day. You don't have to jump. And then in that moment, all of a sudden, where you should be terrified is the most blissful experience of your life. And God placed the best things in life on the other side of terror. On the other side of your maximum fear are all of the best things in life. How about this? So I jumped, I had such a mystical, powerful spiritual experience. I flew home and got my sons, and I went back, and 10 days later, my sons jumped, right? Yeah. Now that was a little different, because I'm scared, right? So it was so Jaden went first, right? Jaden wants to do everything first. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, yeah, my sons are gonna have this crazy experience. And then Jaden went out of the airplane. And I was like, Then my oldest son, Trey, goes up and he goes out of the airplane. And I was like, this could potentially be the worst display of African-American parenting in history. Right? I was like, both my sons just fell out of an airplane. Jump, right? Because I told them to. But again, the fear again. I was like, oh my God. So I told the dude, I was like, listen, I want to see them go out, but I also want to see them land. And he's like, no, it's cool. So this time we went out and we did the straight bullet, and I just went straight down past them. And he's like, you good? Right, did the bullet straight past, pulled the chute late, landed, and then videoed them coming down. But it was like, they had the same thing, the same experience with the fear. But that I'm telling you, the confrontation with fear is an absolute magical way of facing the things we have to do in this life. Forget security. Live for experience. Will Smith is an idea, right? So there's parts of that that's me, but that character from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was who I was 26 years ago. Yeah! When you've created things that are so iconic, it becomes healing for people. Nostalgia is healing. You know, to the Fresh Prince theme is healing to hear that, you know, and it just harkens back to a time and a feeling and an energy, you know, that is a beautiful way to help relieve some little touch of suffering, you know. So when people see me or the Fresh Prince, and even during that time, the movies that I made while I was making The Fresh Prince, so it was The Fresh Prince during the winter, and then the summers were Bad Boys, Independence Day, you know, so it was like, it really captured a time. So it's very difficult. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love being able to make people smile and cheer, you know, over that. But I also am going to boldly go to new creation. You know, even something like The Decision. You know, I had the two screenplays in front of me for the Independence Day 2 and for Suicide Squad. So I had to choose between the two of those, and even the choice of going to Suicide Squad, nothing about the qualities of the movies, but the choice of trying to go forward versus clinging and clawing backwards, you know. So I do want to aggressively go forward and do new things and create and hopefully be able to stumble upon a new heyday. You know, it's the ideas, the screenplay. Alan Loeb, the screenwriter, he just wrote a brilliant screenplay. Everyone related to the ideas of love, time, and death as powerful tools to try to put your life back on track. So everyone related to the journey. Yeah, my father, when I put my life together and I look at my father, my mother, and grandmother were the most influential people in my life. And in my mind, when I draw it, I always draw a triangle. And my father was the base, and my mother was the left side, and my grandmother was the right side. And I always put discipline as the bottom. My father, hard work, discipline, endurance was really the foundation of creating my life. And my mother was education, and my grandmother was love. So, you know, the combination of that discipline, education, and love. Discipline, education, and love. For me, laughing is the elixir, you know, and that was another thing that my father taught me. He was joking all the way up to the end. Like laughing, you have to be able to laugh at everything. And for me, the beautiful part is that's my natural color on the spectrum. I naturally go to comedy, you know, and when I'm looking at something, I'm always trying to find why that's funny. And, you know, it's been really, really helpful in this experience and you know, even just this point in my life. Remember to laugh, and spend time with people that make you laugh. Like, that is hugely important.